Welcome to the Matthias Jones Mysteries, The Club Max Murder by R.P. Fitton. Copyright 2016 by the Robert P. Fitton Revocable Trust. The Club Max Murder, a Matthias Jones Mystery by R.P. Fitton. Copyright 2016 by the Robert P. Fitton Revocable Trust. Chapter 1. Daniels knew the woman was employing her nefarious trade upstairs once again. He opened his eyes in total darkness. Above him, the third-floor ceiling shook his entire apartment like the rotor blades from battlefield choppers attacking an encampment. The thumps accelerated as he rolled out of bed and reached for the lamp. He flipped the switch and his eyes ached. His carved wood pipe and gold-leaded blue-bound edition of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the stories he liked to read before sleeping, were strewn across his tiny bedside table. Now fatigue would follow him during his shift at the warehouse. If I ever reported the goings-on up there, there'd be serious trouble. He reached for his navy velour bathrobe as the racket persisted, and he pushed his arms into the sleeves. Then he tied the robe tightly, pressed his lips together, and stepped into his fur-lined slippers. His twisted gray hair stuck up straight in the mirror. He rolled his eyes and combed his fingers through the mess. Who cares how you look, Daniels? He was going up to complain about the floozy upstairs. In the dimly lit outside hall, he planted his feet on the matted rug and peered up the varnished banister. Now the stereo bass resonated through the plaster walls. I should be calling the police. So many times I would have called the police. On the first floor, Mrs. O'Toole's door creaked open. She was fully dressed in an acrylic white knit sweater and green polyester slacks. 3 molded suitcases were lined up next to her door. My God, Mr. Daniels, someone is being murdered. Go back to your apartment, Mrs. O'Toole. I have the situation well in hand. You and your wild notions. Murder. You've been reading too many of those supermarket tabloids. Get back inside. She trudged up the vinyl stair treads. Not in your life. I can hear that pounding all the way to the first floor. Why, couldn't you hear it earlier too, Mr. Daniels? I couldn't, 'cause I was sleeping. I was sleeping, and I do put that in the past tense, madam. Was sleeping. Who are you calling a madam? Daniels ground his teeth and tried not to look at her as they climbed to the third floor. Proper address, Mrs. O'Toole, proper address. Well, you should have done something about that woman a long time ago. I hear she's living a wild life, said Mrs. O'Toole, pushing her index finger into his arm. Why me? Why me? Daniel stopped on the stairs as the clatter, now only a half a flight up, persisted. She wears those miniskirts and those knee-high boots. Mrs. O'Toole, she is a lady of the evening, a Club Max hooker. Step out of your naive existence and see the real world. He trotted up ahead of her and tightened his bathrobe loop once again. The sound of a man crying drifted down the stairs along with the woman's usual seductive perfume. As angry as he was, he hoped she was not in trouble. He tiptoed across the worn hallway carpet and through the open doorway. Within the stereo's jazz music, the wailing mixed with a steady banging on the floor. Quietly and slowly, he inched his way over the green shag rug near the bathroom. White bookshelves extended from the wall, separating the front room from the hall, and he saw long strands of auburn hair through the stacks. He cautiously peered around the corner. A strapping young man Daniels recognized as one of her frequent visitors knelt and rocked her bloody body in his wide arms. His face was contorted, tears smeared over his moistened cheeks, and he repeatedly called out a name. Gina, Gina. Oh, my God, said Daniels, his hand shaking as he realized the woman was indeed dead. What the hell have you done, young man? No, no, shouted the young man, his eyes wide as he looked up at Daniels. He quickly let the woman slide onto the rug and he leaped to his feet. Panic overtook his face when he glanced at the body and then rumbled like a steer out of the pen. Daniels jumped aside as the young man agilely darted past Mrs. O'Toole and then cascaded down the stairs. "What's going on in there, Mr. Daniels?" she asked loudly. Nothing, Mrs. O'Toole. Stay back, please." He attempted to remain calm, retreated, and abruptly escorted her into the dimly lit hallway. "Why are you pushing me?" She broke free and stomped inside. Her high-pitched scream only added to the confusion. "Murder! I knew it was murder!" "I warned you, Mrs. O'Toole. I'm calling the police." Daniels galloped downstairs to his own apartment. Mrs. O'Toole's lamenting continued outside as he scrambled to his bedside phone. He placed his finger on the emergency police number. Something loud erupted in the back alley as he called the police station. He pulled the twisted phone cord to the window as the young man from upstairs, seated on a motorcycle, spun onto Atlantic Ave.
PWPD. This call is being recorded. Officer Crimmins speaking.
"Murder. There has been a murder. Apartment. Oh, God, I'm drawing a blank."
"Slow down, sir. Slow down. Where are you calling from?"
Daniels cleared his throat and spoke slowly. "Charles B. Daniels, Covington Arm Apartments, corner of Covington and Atlantic, in Prince William."
"Who has been murdered, Mr. Daniels?"
"The woman upstairs. I think her name was Quintel. Her boyfriend just ran out." "You saw him?" "I assure you I have noted and will note every detail of this case. Big athletic young man. Looked like a football player. Left on his motorcycle down Atlantic Ave. South. He went south." "His name is Joe," said Mrs. O'Toole from the doorway. Daniels turned, squinting his eyes. She annoyed him every minute she was with him. "I have a lady here who said his name was Joe." "Joe what, Mrs. O'Toole?" "Well, I don't know his last name."
"Last name, please?"
"Oh, for God's sakes, Mrs. O'Toole, what good is a first name?"
"Last name?"
repeated Crimmins. "No, I'm sorry, officer." He mustered a sharp grimace for Mrs. O'Toole's benefit. "We do not have a name. He was a tall, big frame, big face, brown hair, thick. The case would be cut and dry."
"Driving a motorcycle?"
said Crimmins. Yes, driving a motorcycle."
"Okay, we have people on the way. Does anyone require medical help?"
"She needs a psychiatrist." Mrs. O'Toole opened her mouth and folded her arms tightly across her sweater.
"What was that, sir?"
Nothing. We're all right here."
"Personnel are on the way, Mr. Daniels. Stay away from the murder scene. Touch nothing."
Daniels hung up. "They said to touch nothing, Mrs. O'Toole." "Well, the taxi is picking me up. I'm supposed to be at the airport in half an hour to catch the red-eye to Arizona." "Well, they'll want to question you." "But I'm going to Arizona." Daniels shook his head as she left. Doesn't know his last name. Unbelievable. The Club Max Murder, Chapter 2. Today's practice reminded him of his gray-haired dad sitting in the stands with Aunt May back in Wabash Falls during the Benton game. Bill Jones always had the same advice for his son before a game. Hit him and hit him hard. Jones and his boys beat Benton 46-0, and it was the last time he saw his father alive. Jones zipped his red Parker and trailed his assistant coach out the locker room door. The colder fall air stung his face as he panned the bright foliage lining the practice field to the Shaker-style conservatory adjacent to the 5-story brick library. With St. Pat's and Hamilton both undefeated, Jones was determined to push his team today. Only one squad would emerge in first place after Saturday's contest. "Come on, boys. On Saturday, you have to hit him. You have to hit him and hit him hard." He turned to his right. "Woozy, where's Joe Sabota?" "Well, I didn't see him, Matthias," answered his wavy-haired assistant. "Or his motorcycle, but I do have good news for you." "Oh, yeah, what's the good news, Woozy?" "Bucky and Muriel landed in Florida about an hour ago." Jones's head snapped to the right. A slow smile came to his face. So you're telling me Bucky Driscoll is 1,000 miles away from this college? Or more. He told Nigel he's going to the circus. Yeah, well, maybe he'll run away with the circus. Jones stretched his arms skyward. I feel like I'm the one on vacation. No butting in, no campus parking tickets. As far as Joe goes, I can call his dorm. Have one of the boys go check the dorm. Joe's usually the first one on the field. Since the whole world thinks I'm going to run against St. Pat's, I need to keep Joe practicing the long ball. What an arm on that kid, Woozy. Jones trotted by the leaf-strewn baseball field onto the lime grids of the adjacent football practice field. Max says Joe's a brick wall. He's been watching videos of all our games. Look, Woos, Mac and I are friends, but we're competitors too, and I won't let St. Pat's win this division. He isn't expecting Joe to pass. We've run for the past 5 weeks. They reached the upper practice field, rimmed with red and yellow maples. Leo Crowley, his thick beard rusty in the afternoon sunshine, dragged an olive team equipment bag across the grass. Hey, what do you say, Leo? Leo's stocky frame filled his red and black Hamilton College windbreaker. Coach, Arnie Dewis. Oh, boy. Just heard a rumor from his sister in Prince William. She talked to her friend who's a cop on the Prince William force. Excuse me, Leo, 1 second, Woozy. Let's get them warmed up and then we'll run some basic stuff. Let's get somebody over to that dorm. Woozy spoke to Calvin Williams, who nodded and ran back toward the college. Are you going live today, Coach? Asked Leo. I think I will. Jones looked past the baseball field's chain-link fence to the locker room door. To his right, Larson Stadium was empty and draped in the shadows below the town atop the hill. He wondered why Joe was late for practice. Where the hell is Joe Sabota? That's what I'm trying to tell you, Coach. Arnie says they're holding some kid for murder at the Prince William police station, some kid with a motorcycle. Jones spun around. Leo, if Arnie Dewis told you this, consider the source. You seem pretty sure. If you're implying Joe is over the Prince William police station, then just forget it. Arnie's sister said the rumor was all over town. Rumor. I don't believe it, especially if Arnie had anything to do with it. Jones walked with Leo along the sidelines. Leo, when Joe finally gets here, I'm thinking of letting him pass. No running game on Saturday. What do you think? I've always thought Joe should pass more, Coach. Won't be expected, will it? Nope. Kid's the most natural athlete I ever saw. Jones nodded as Woozy brought the team through calisthenics, accompanied by a loud, verbal cadence. The sunlight filtered through the half-bare maples, producing a yellow glow through the wide leaves. A shiny black low rider rolled along the outside fence. Jones thought he saw a pair of binoculars in the open passenger window. He turned back to the team as the boys went through simple line and passing drills. He waved his assistant coach over. Woozy, holding his clipboard, ran across from the line. Coach, you want me to start some plays? What I want, Woozy, is Joe Sabota out on this field. This is a critical game on Saturday, said Jones, rubbing his numbed hands together. Calvin Williams gave the thumbs down sign as he ran back to the practice field. Nobody's seen Joe, Coach. Thanks, Calvin. Get back with the team. The low rider's tinted window moved upward and the car looped around the fence opening. That low rider keeps going back and forth along the fence. What's going on here? I need Joe out here practicing. He's the backbone of this team. I can't use little Larry Resnick against the St. Pat's line. Resnick and Sabota hate each other, said Leo. I'm not going to base strategy on who does or does not like somebody else. Jones pressed his lips. On second thought, Leo, check the locker room for Joe, will you? You want me to call the Prince William police station? Will you stop with the police station business? Jones shook his head and watched the team. Arnie has everybody all revved up. Leo, just track Joe down. Got it, Coach. As the large-framed Leo trundled across the lower field to the gymnasium locker room, the low rider's engine rumbled like a truck along the fence. Jones glanced over his shoulder and approached the team. All right, you guys, we're going live. I need Resnick at quarterback. Woozy opened his mouth. The thin-frame Resnick, a broadcaster at the campus radio station, ran across the field. His shoulder pads were askew, and he squinted his blue eyes in the sunshine. He looked perplexed as his breath steamed into the colder air. "You want me at quarterback? What about Joe?" "Sabota isn't here. I'm sure you can see that. Larry, I want you to run through the plays at quarterback until he gets here." Resnick smiled. "Thanks, Coach." Wait a minute, said Jones, holding his arm. "Don't think I'm starting you on Saturday. Joe's going to be the starting quarterback. Just because you two don't get along, I don't want any problems." "Oh, we get along okay." "Yeah, right. Just don't rub it in his face when he gets here." The low rider pulled away from the fence toward Hamilton Street. "I understand, Coach. You're pretty good on the campus radio station, Larry. You have to prove yourself on the field." I will. "All right, let's try the long yardage game," Jones called out. "We have no linebacker," said Woozy, looking across the field. "Just put anybody in there. This is an offensive drill, Woozy." As Jones stood back, Woozy dragged a large kid named Busey from the sidelines. Again, Jones faced the distant locker room. He was worried about Joe. Something wasn't right, and Leo's rambling about a kid being held for murder shook him. Resnick ran the long yardage play, but he bobbled the ball. Jones held back any criticism. The cold weather impaired a firm grip on the ball. Resnick scrambled quickly from the next snap, but his pass was at least 15 yards short of Joe's easiest toss. The orange sun lingered within the steel-blue clouds behind the sinewy branches as the colder air sunk across the valley. Leo was unable to locate Joe Sabota. Joe's friends and arrogant roommate had checked out the dorm and campus center, but Leo actually called the police station, yet no one would answer his questions. "I'd say the cops weren't cooperative, Coach. Like they were deliberately holding something back, and Joe's roommate, well, he was downright hostile. Told me to mind my own business." "I'm just trying to pretend that Joe being missing and the report from the Prince William police station are not related," said Jones. His players were tired from 2 hours of grueling contact. Arnie Dewars' blue lumber truck squeaked along to a stop by the chain-link fence. Oh no, this is the last thing I need is to listen to Arnie Dewars. "Hey, Matthias!" Jones realized he was trapped. In his blue-striped Dewars shirt, minus a jacket or hat, Arnie ran through the street gate. He continuously pushed his black-rimmed glasses up his oversized nose. "Matthias!" "What can I do for you, Arnie? We're trying to wrap things up here." "Your boy, he's in big trouble." "How do you know this?" Arnie shivered and then elbowed Jones in the ribs. "Can't keep track of your own players, huh? Do you have definitive information on Joe Sabota?" Arnie's hands shook as he lit a cigarette. "Man, it's cold here. God. Don't you believe in hats and jackets, Arnie?" Jackets are for wimps." His hands shook as he inhaled the cigarette. "Man, it's colder than a witch's." "Arnie, what did you hear about Joe Sabota?" "See, my sister, she knows guys on the force. They brought in some kid on a motorcycle." "Did they specifically say they brought in Joe Sabota?" "Well," Arnie pushed his finger into Jones's shoulder. "Scared you're gonna lose the big game, huh? So in other words, you know nothing." "Hey, don't blame me you centered your whole game around one guy. Did anybody ever tell you you're a pain? It's my modus operandus." "Operandi. Yeah. Arnie's phone sounded. "Hey, yeah, Buckster. How's the beach bum? And how's the chick situation down there?" Jones rolled his eyes. "I have to go, Arnie." "Okay, Matthias." "Yeah? What?" "Oh, no, he's right here, Bucky." Jones took 2 steps toward the team, and then he turned. "Wait. Arnie, give me the phone." Arnie handed the phone to Jones. Jones ripped off the back casing and threw the battery on the grass. Hey! Get this straight, Arnie. Do not mention anything about any kid being held at the Prince William police station to Bucky." "So, you knew I was right about Prince William," he said, picking up the battery. "Just covering my bases. You keep your mouth shut, Arnie." "What's it worth to you?" Jones stepped up to Arnie. "I'll make sure Dewars never sells a stick of lumber to this college. I don't need Bucky Driscoll in my business, even from 1,000 miles away." "All The sun sank below the library roof. Jones checked his watch and then removed his cell from his parka pocket. He scrolled down to Don Pacheco's private number at the Prince William police station. The number clicked and the line rang as Arnie's loud voice filled the air. "Hey, Leo, why don't you get out on the field and work off some of that blubber?" Jones faced Arnie and raised his voice. "You shut your mouth."
Excuse me?
"This is Matthias Jones."
Matthias, I don't think I can talk to you.
"Krim, is that you?"
Matthias, listen, I can't talk right now.
"Why not?" A familiar gravelly voice stung in his ear.
Jones, as I have told you many times in the past, stay out of this and let the police do their job.
Herbert Lane. And what do I owe the honor of actually speaking with our illustrious district attorney?
Stay out of it, Jones.
Stay out of what? The phone bounced on the other end and Jones held the cell phone away from his ear. Arnie inched closer. "Hey, Herbert! Herbert!" Another gruff voice cackled through the speaker.
Jones, this is Kip Bosco.
"Oh, our man in Vice."
You're a coach who thinks he's a private investigator. We have the situation here completely under control.
Bosco breathed heavily as if he were gasping for air.
Just let the pros handle this.
"Is Joe Sabota being held over there? Where's Don Pacheco?"
Chief is downstairs.
His voice tapered away like a passing train.
Yeah, with extra cheese and fries. Everything on it. And a chocolate milkshake. I'll pay you when you get back.
"Is Sabota over there?" Arnie leaned forward. "Get out of here, Arnie."
Hey, why don't you hit the showers, Coachy?
The line went dead and Jones stared at the phone. Arnie pretended to zip his lips. "Don't say it, Arnie." "Hey, the trap is closed." Well, that's a first. He redialed Don Pacheco's number, but it instantly kicked into voicemail. He walked up to Woozy. "What's the story, Matthias?" "Wooz, I think Sabota is over the PWPD." "What are you going to do?" "Finish special teams and then bring him in. I'm heading to Prince William. I'll call you. Keep this hush. Hush." He looked over at Arnie. Arnie looked away. Will do. Jones nodded and stepped forward and blew his brass whistle. And as if someone had pulled a power plug, the team finished the line drill. Jones moved directly up to the group. "Okay, guys, good practice. Coach will finish up with special teams. Listen to me. Saturday we're up against a good team, and I don't have to tell you boys what this victory means. It means that only one team will emerge as the probable champion," he said, increasing the intensity of his voice. "But they aren't practicing live like you boys. You're a tough team, you're a fast team, and you will stop that line and you will outrun the defense because you boys have pride. Pride in your school and pride in yourself. Let's do it." Jones high-fived each one of them as they cheered. To his right, Travis Thayer, in his wool coat and leather gloves, walked briskly from the music conservatory on the top of the hill behind the practice fields. He wore a Russian fur hat and a beige cashmere scarf around his neck. But Jones's mind was set in Prince William. A mental snapshot of the round Herbert Lane with his ill-fitting toupee filled Jones's thoughts, and he kicked the dirt. "Are you practicing your field goals, Matthias?" Travis had a clear, refined voice. "I'm here to remind you about the faculty meeting in the auditorium tonight." Jones looked into his dark eyes. "That's right, I forgot about that meeting. Nigel told me about it this morning. I don't think I can go." "Well, Nigel is the president of the college now. He wants everybody in there in case Hamilton Fletcher decides to show up and listen to the annual reports. And remember, the Fletchers fund this college and everything else in this town. I'm heading to Prince William." Travis gazed across the practice field. Is the dream team turning into a nightmare? Jones smiled at his wit. "It will if I can't find Joe Sabota. It's not like him to miss practice. I'm starting to think there's been trouble." "Oh, I think I know what happened." "You do?" asked Jones, looking into his brilliant brown eyes. His auburn hair was neatly trimmed. "I believe he's broken up with Miss Wonderful. I spoke with him after class yesterday morning. English is his forte and his grades have plummeted lately. Apparently he's seeing a girl in Prince William." "He is? Nobody tells me anything. Oh, for crying out loud, how many times have I told these guys that women in sports don't mix? You know, now that you mention it, the kid looked exhausted. When you chase women, you pay the price. Does that come from personal experience, Travis? His perfectly formed white teeth flashed a momentary smile as if he were recalling some distant affair. I will make no comment lest I ruin my image. Well, your image is intact. Well, the girl called it quits a few days ago, said Travis as he thought. He was quite upset according to the scuttlebutt. They want me to be a coach, but I've got to be a psychiatrist. Resnick and Sabota hate each other. Sabota is out chasing some girl in Prince William. Whatever happened to Marlena Peterson? Their on-again, off-again relationship is quite finite. Matthias, you don't keep up with the college social scene. I can't keep track of my own problems, Travis. Any idea where this woman lives in Prince William? Bosco's slobbery voice from Dom's office kept repeating in his mind like an offensive commercial on TV. He prayed Joe had not done anything stupid. Well, Joe's roommate, Clarence Moody. Moody knows. Moody's obnoxious and a thorn in Joe's side. More scuttlebutt? No, that's a private matter. Well, I have to go to Prince William. Why don't you tag along? As long as we're back for the meeting. Yeah, sure. What's so important in Prince William? I do believe, Travis, that Joe Sabota is behind bars. Jones called George Strickland at the Hamilton police station. The line ran quickly.
Hamilton, Ned speaking.
Nettie, is George there?
He's out.
Well, where is he?
Don't know.
Great. I'm trying to find out if one of my players is being held in Prince William.
Don't know.
Can anybody call Prince William PD?
Don't know.
Well, is Wendell there? The phone dropped on the counter and Jones pulled his cell away from his ear. He shook his head as Travis smiled.
Hamilton Police Facility, Wendell Harris speaking.
Didn't Ned tell you it was me?
Matthias?
Wendell, I think my quarterback is being held at the Prince William police station.
Oh yeah, he sure is.
Well, nice of you to tell me.
You never asked.
Well, where's George?
Well, I don't know that either.
Tell George, wherever he is, that I'm driving to the PWPD right now.
Oh, for Joe Sabota?
Yes, Wendell, for Joe Sabota. Jones held out the cell phone and stared into Travis's brown eyes. Travis, why did I leave Indiana? The Club Max Murder, Chapter 3.
Did you actually speak to a police officer, Matthias?
Well, I spoke to Bosco, said Jones, shifting. Kip always has an attitude.
Bosco is an idiot.
Jones nodded and turned up the radio. Larry Resnick's voice filled the darkened Jeep. Good evening, I'm Larry Resnick, and this is the Larry Resnick Show. My starting quarterback. You got on the air real quick, said Jones. We'll be taking calls tonight on the death of a Prince William woman and the arrest of football star Joe Sabota. What the hell is he doing? Yelled Jones. Resnick just announced Sabota's arrest, George.
Matthias, last time I looked, we lived in the United States of America. This isn't a news blackout. It's probably on all the stations.
Not one of my players. Hold on, George. I'll call you back. Jones punched in more digits into his phone. Who are you calling now? Asked Travis. The station. I'll nix this thing right away. The line rang as Jones stared across the murky outlines of the quarries at the crest of the Devonshire hills.
WHMT,
answered a young woman.
this is Cindy.
This is Matthias Jones. I want to speak with Larry Resnick right now.
I'm sorry, Coach. He's on the air.
Well, get him off the air. Put a commercial on. I don't care.
One moment, please.
Syrupy elevator music pinged over the speakers. Joe doesn't need this. Matthias, let it settle, said Travis. People talk. I deal with it all the time.
Larry Resnick.
Larry, what the hell are you doing?
Coach?
I don't want this thing about Joe smeared all over God's creation. Come on, it sounds like you're prosecuting and convicting him on the air.
Well, Coach, we're just discussing it. Everybody's discussing it. It's unbelievable what happened.
I'm just concerned about Joe and this whole mess. Please.
Okay, I have to get back on the air.
Travis glanced at Jones, and Jones lowered the radio volume as the public service commercials ended.
This is Larry Resnick. We'll listen to more cool jazz from New Orleans and then switch to some sports talk in the next few minutes. Bear with me, folks. We'll get through the night.
He tightened his face as he called back Strickland. George, this is ridiculous. Strickland's phone was now on the speaker.
Let's face facts, Matthias. Joe Sabota is being held in Prince William for murdering a hooker. His girlfriend, last night.
Jones wondered how Joe Sabota could be driven to kill anybody. All thoughts of the game on Saturday, winning or even playing, vanished with Strickland's pronouncement.
I'm sorry, I know how much you like the kid, and I know what a gifted athlete he is. We're also looking for Cocoa Stefani.
Joe Sabota isn't a murderer. Well, where's Coco? What's he got to do with this?
Well, they can't find him.
When did this murder take place?
It happened yesterday, or maybe last night,
Said Wendell in the background.
Matthias, I've been on the horn to Clayton. He said the girl was killed around 8 o'clock last night. Pierced her aorta. Yeah, there was blood everywhere. Wendell.
Jones gripped the wheel. His best player, playing football every day, was bedding down a Prince William hooker by night. Joe had broken up with his girlfriend on campus, according to Travis. Jones wondered if ending the relationship with Marlena Peterson had resulted in murder. Are you sure she was a hooker, George? I find that incredulous.
Yeah, and hard to believe,
said Wendell.
No, it's true. Sabota's roommate, Clarence Moody, claims Joe left the dorm before 7. The roommate was very evasive and very pushy. That's what Leo Crowley told us.
Is he a suspect? Asked Jones.
Who, Leo?
Asked Wendell. No, the roommate, Wendell.
No, we don't know that,
said Strickland.
Sounds evasive enough. As far as Joe goes, the girl was murdered last night and they found Joe locked inside some Boston hotel room.
Boston? What was he doing in Boston? Asked Jones.
Running away.
Jones turned to Travis. Travis, what did you say about Joe breaking up with his girlfriend? Jones stopped at a traffic light near the station. Well, she told me she said it was over and he was devastated by the news. Devastated enough to kill her? No, I would say Joe was more despondent than anything else. I wouldn't describe him as angry at any level. We're almost there, George, said Jones, pulling away from the light. I've had enough speculation. I want to speak with Joe directly. Joe's one of my favorite students. I can't see him killing anyone. George, where are the witnesses? Did anyone see Joe kill this woman?
Oh, they have witnesses, 2 witnesses.
Jones pulled across the street from the large Prince William police station. Sabota is the last person I'd expect to be held for murder. The Club Max Murder, Chapter 4. Jones locked the Jeep and the cell phone sounded in his pocket. He pulled out the cell as he and Travis crossed the busy Prince William Street. George?
Hey, you need my help?
Asked Bucky with organ music playing in the background. Bucky? What the hell? I'll kill that Arnie Dewars.
Huh?
What are you saying?
Muriel said you had a big game against St. Pat's on Saturday. You better change your strategy, Coach. You've made mistakes before, and your job is on the line, I know that. You need help.
The organ music squelched his voice.
Man, that organ is loud.
Then maybe you should get a new tin cup for your monkey act. Jones cut the call. Bucky Driscoll. Driscoll tried to tow my car last month, said Travis. He said I didn't have the proper faculty sticker on my windshield. My God, he said as they crunched the autumn leaves scattered on the station's stone steps. A tow truck could ruin my vehicle. I made 2 calls, one to Nigel Kent and one to L.G. Bentley. Driscoll took a call on his cell phone and I never saw him again. Jones grinned and pushed open the oak precinct doors. He grit his teeth and looked up the stairs toward the homicide offices on the 2nd floor. Through the constant chatter, he crossed the spacious downstairs area, and a myriad of thoughts filled his head. He wondered if the black lowrider was related to the hooker's murder, and how did Joe get involved with the hooker anyway? Strickland stood at the front desk with Krim and several Prince William police officers in blue uniforms behind the counter. Krim, Matthias, Professor there. Jones turned to the square-jawed Crimmins. Krim, can we speak to Sabota? And I'd like to speak with Dom, said Strickland. Well, if he's still here, George. The officer turned and lifted a heavy black phone off the nearest desk. "Sabota being held here is insane," said Jones. "I want the details on this thing." "Hold on, Matthias, hold on," said Krim, raising his index finger. "Joe isn't a murderer. That's the bottom line." Krim listened on the phone and nodded before he hung up. "It's late. Dom's gone home, guys." Then we talked to Kevin Phillips. "Kevin is out. You'll have to talk with Sergeant Bosco before speaking with Sabota." "Oh, Bosco is a moron." "Oh, then you know Kip," laughed Krim. "What does he know about Sabota and this hooker?" "Well, you'll have to ask him." Krim looked at the second-floor stairs. "George, bring them right up to homicide. I'll send up Bosco." "Thanks, Krim," answered Strickland. Jones moved with Travis across the station and started up the stairs. Travis held his forearm. "Slow down, Matthias. Let's take this one step at a time." "Well, everything is all fouled up, Travis," said Jones, turning at the landing. "We don't need Kip Bosco in this. Corruption is his middle name." "What about Joe's parents? He's from Michigan, right?" "Andover, Michigan," said Jones, scaling the stairs. "He led every one of his teams to state championships his senior year. 3 great years at Hamilton, and now this." "Well, we'll have to ask Bosco if the parents have been contacted," said Travis. "I can't believe this is happening to a young man like Joe." "Well, I'll second that," said Jones, waiting at the top of the smooth marble stairs. Although he dreaded seeing Joe under these circumstances, he knew Joe needed support to survive these accusations. Not knowing anything about this case troubled Jones, and he needed facts. At this point, he could not even formulate a side road theory. Strickland stepped up to an older woman with pursed lips, typing on a keyboard. "We're here for Sergeant Bosco." "What did he do now?" "Nothing," said Strickland, appearing in the doorway. "I just need to talk to him." "Well, I'll get him." The woman swung her nimble frame from the swivel chair, faced the back office, and barked like a raspy drill sergeant. "Kip! Kip! People want to see you!" Strickland handed Jones a summary report. Jones leaned on a faded green filing cabinet and stroked his chin as for several minutes he ran through the description of the murder. 2 witnesses actually observed Joe holding the dead woman, and the fact that Joe fled to Boston put a cloud over his star player's claims of innocence. In the back office, he heard someone coughing. The overweight mustached Bosco, with disheveled sandy red hair, strutted through the doorway. He wore a maroon blazer stained at the upper pocket, and his yellow paisley tie, loosened at the neck, followed the curve of his round belly over his solid blue shirt. A smoldering cigarette butt was stuck between his cracked lips, and his eyelids hung heavy. He balanced the cigarette in his yellow teeth and raised his bushy brows as he spoke. Jones sniffed a potent cologne. "Jones, I'm so honored." He took a drag on the cigarette. "And the police chief of that hick little town of Hamilton. The Sticks." "Shut up, Kip," said Strickland. "I suppose you're here about that Sabota kid." Jones stepped forward, brushing Kip's cushioned belly. "I want the medical examiner's report." "And who the hell are you, smart boy? The coach who thinks he's a private investigator?" "Matthias has my stamp of approval." "Whoa, big whoop!" Bosco laughed again, and Jones fought his anger as he tried to concentrate on Joe's problems. He moved right up to the red-faced Bosco. "Where is Joe?" "Well, your football hero's got himself in deep doo-doo." "What was Joe doing linking up with some hooker?" asked Jones. "Hey, she found the kid, and you know how it goes, Coachy." "No, I don't know how it goes." "I knew she had a relationship with him, but she never stopped turning tricks either." The woman was gorgeous, tall, long brown hair, slim with all the right proportions. She had a set of... "That's great, Kip. But how did she find a Hamilton College football player? Was she on campus?" "I don't know anything about that." Kip furrowed his brow, and his fat face compressed into a confused expression as he thought. Then he raised his index finger. "I know they were at Club Max all the time. I suppose they met in there." "Club Max?" "Club Max is across town, Jones." "I know where it is, Kip." "On River Street, about a mile from the crosstown bridge," said Kip, not listening. Jones thought he was drunk. "Hang out for lowlife. They get in my way, I just beat 'em up." You beat him up. Jones grinned. That I'd like to see. Hey, you're asking for it, Coachy. So you think that's where he met the woman? Asked Travis. If there's a place to meet a hooker, that's the place. Cocoa Stefani know what you said about his place? Kip's eyes open wide. How do you know Coco? Why don't you ask Coco how he knows me? Who do I talk to at Club Max? You don't. I think a place like that might be a little tough for you, Jones. Jones moved closer. Listen, Kip, you let me worry about Club Max. Now who do I talk to? I don't know nothing. Well, I'll second that, said Strickland. You want to see the kid now? Yeah, it's about time, said Jones. Have Sabota's parents been notified? Yeah, Pacheco talked to them earlier. They already left Detroit. They're pretty torqued off. Well, that is certainly understandable, sir. Yeah, and who the hell are you? Some kind of prof from the college? I am. I'm Travis Thayer. I never heard of you. Everybody knows Travis. He's a writer, Kip, said Jones. Yeah, so what? You know, you're a pain in the ass. Ha, ha, ha. You're funny, Coachy. So what do you think about all this, Kip? Asked Strickland. I told you guys, I don't know nothing. Kip put out a cigarette in one of the desk coffee cups. The woman at the computer pursed her lips, and then Kip dragged his polyester pants higher up over his stomach. Tell you guys right now, the kid is off the wall. He claims he didn't do it, but we got witnesses. Lieutenant Phillips talked to both of them. Well, who are the witnesses? Hey, Jones, you're starting to piss me off. Well, I'll mention that to Coco, too, when I talk to him. Bosco's face flattened again. For your info, and I know you're taking this all in, a guy named Daniels, he thinks he's a PI like you do, lived right below the dead woman, Gina Quintel. I read the report. Kip waddled to the repainted yellow elevator doors. He pushed the button and everybody piled inside. Gina Quintel, right out of a dime novel, said Travis. Dime? What do you mean, dime? Asked Kip. Jones was uncomfortably pinned between Kip and the panel wall. The elevator doors closed unevenly and the car rumbled downward. Kip turned to Strickland and moved his pudgy, freckled hands as he spoke. Another lady at the apartment complex, a Mrs. O'Toole. She saw quite a bit, but she split to Arizona on vacay. Jones spoke over his shoulder. Listen, Kip, I know your next question, Jones. Where are the apartments? Covington Arms, corner of Lincoln and Atlantic. Quintel was up on the 3rd floor, apartment 17. Sabota's football number, said Jones, shaking his head. The elevator rumbled past the 1st floor and into the basement. The doors opened to exposed pipes, peeling beige paint on the corridor bricks, and an intense urine odor. This is where we keep 'em on ice. This is more like a barnyard, said Travis. His fine wool coat was a marked contrast to the deteriorating basement. This is disgusting. How can you keep human beings down here? Well, we call it home. He led them under a row of faded green metal-shaded lights hanging on chains from the cracked plaster ceiling. Upon seeing the stained ceramic urinals and ripped mattresses inside the cells, Jones wanted to get Joe out. In only 24 hours, Joe Sabota had gone from football hero to accused murderer. Jones gripped his cell phone. Coco, you need to call me. I've got a player at the PWPD who was with some woman named Gina Quintel that he met at the club. He stuffed the phone in his Parker pocket, and then he looked ahead. Across a whitewashed brick wall, Bosco unlocked a metal-barred cell door. Jones's star football player now wore an orange prisoner jumpsuit and sat with his head in his hands on the mattress. First, he seemed unaware that everyone had arrived. Then he slowly raised his large, sloping forehead. But when he saw Jones, he quickly closed his eyes and turned away. I brought these people in from Hamilton, kid, said Kip. Tell them your sad story. Joe spun around and Jones was surprised by his anger. You shut up, Kip. Hey, watch it, punk. No, you watch it, said Jones, facing the oversized cop. You've been giving me grief all afternoon, Kip. Well, you're not a cop, Jones. I told you he's with me, said Strickland. Kip mumbled and stepped back, looking at Jones as he squeezed out of the cell and lit a cigarette. Where's Lieutenant Phillips, Kip? Asked Joe. He stood abruptly, glancing between Kip and Jones. "He's out on patrol," said Kip, and he smiled at Jones. "Something real cops do all the time." "Shut up, Kip," Joe yelled again. Joe's abrasive and loud tone bordered on defiant. At 6'4", 230 pounds, he maintained an upright stance. Jones had never seen him this wild. "Someone is doing a good job of framing me, Coach." Joe's relationship with a hooker also had Jones baffled. The pain in Joe's eyes intensified as he looked over at Travis. He turned away quickly, put his foot up on the mattress, and leaned his elbow on his knee. Travis stepped forward and stood behind him before he spoke. "Did you do it, Joe?" He kept his back to Travis. His black hair was matted in clumps, sweat beaded on his neck and forehead, and his well-defined cheeks were crimson. "I didn't kill anyone." "Okay," said Jones. "Oh, great, I'll just let him go then." Alternately, Joe would clench his hands until the knuckles whitened. In a sudden burst of emotion, he twisted and moved up to Travis. "Mr. Thayer, I didn't kill anyone." Then he locked his arms around the aristocratic Travis. Travis remained stiff, but slowly raised his arm to the huge football player's back. "It's all right, Joe, it's all right." "I loved Gina, I loved her." He faced Kip and Jones. "I'm not a murderer. I wouldn't kill anybody, especially Gina." "Oh, we have witnesses, kid," said Kip from the hall. "You stop taunting me, Kip." Joe stomped forward. "Just shut your mouth." Jones blocked Joe's path and held his shoulders. "Don't let him get to you, Joe." Kip attempted to pull out his gun, but soon discovered it was not in his shoulder strap. "You watch yourself there, kid." "I don't know what the hell you're doing in here anyways, Kip. It's like having the wolf in the sheep's pasture. Tell him, Kip. Tell him how you hung out with every hooker in Prince William. You're a vice cop. Why don't you go arrest yourself?" "You say you didn't do it, but you sure seem like a guy who's feeling pretty guilty right now." Kip laughed, but his face dropped when he saw Jones staring at him. "Get him out of here, Coach. Just get him out of here," shouted Joe. "That man is dangerous." "Why don't you beat it, Kip?" Strickland leaned closer. Kip, time to give us some privacy." Yeah, I'll be right by the elevator." He turned and shuffled down the cement corridor floor. "But don't try anything." Or he'll beat us up," said Jones. Strickland smiled and stepped outside the cell door. "I'll be right out here, Matthias." "Kip Bosco, a man with no gun. I feel real safe now," said Jones, looking toward Kip down the brick-lined corridor. "Perhaps he was going to shoot us with his finger," said Travis. Joe's mournful, bloodshot eyes slid away from Jones. "Coach, I'm so sorry. I know you're counting on me Saturday against St. Pat's." "Forget St. Pat's, Joe. You're up on murder charges." "I didn't do it. I told Clarence that." "Clarence is your roommate." "Yes, I called him. He was in here earlier." "I was told he was evasive and arrogant. Do you think he had anything to do with this?" Joe's face went blank. Then he furrowed his brow. "Clarence is a very strange kind of guy. I don't know. I don't know anything at this point." Travis turned with his hands in his coat pocket. "I know Clarence Moody. He's very bright." "Then he knew all about this." "Well, not until this afternoon." "What's your relationship with that bozo Bosco? You act like you know him." I'm sorry, Coach." He fell back onto the bed and cried into his hands. "I'm just so sorry." "Joe, you have to let me know what's going on here. It's the only way I can do anything." Joe looked up. "I know Kip Bosco because he was in Vice and Gina was a hooker. All right?" "Then she was a hooker," said Jones, glancing at Travis and Strickland out in the corridor. "What are you saying? You picked up a hooker?" No, it's not that simple. Right after we won the first game, a whole bunch of us came over to Prince William to celebrate. We ended up at Club Max and started drinking." "Joe, you don't need to be hanging out at Club Max. Jeez. We go out all the time, Coach. Different places. Doesn't matter." "Was this guy Clarence with you?" "Well, Clarence was probably doing his tricks or studying in the library or watching an avant-garde movie at the Cornucopia." Jones nodded. "So tell me about this little excursion to Club Max." "Well, it was late and I wasn't drunk. I only had a couple of beers, Coach. I went up to get some beer for the rest of the guys." You can tell me later who was with you, said Jones. What about Gina Quintel? That's when I saw her. She was at the bar, pinching a cigarette between her fingers. I can still see the smoke rising into the blue light. The speakers were pumping out some disco song from the 70s. Her brown hair was perfectly straight to her shoulders. She wore this low-cut dress. You could see... Never mind, said Jones as Travis's eyes opened wide. I just started talking to her. You mean she started talking to you? No, but she was giving me this look. I knew she might be a hooker or something. She just looked so beautiful. Just a touch of mascara and that strongly scented perfume. I asked her something dumb like, where do you live? Something like that. Then she asked me to sit down. I told her I had to bring the beer back to my buddies. I asked her to stay right there. I couldn't believe she wanted to be with me, so I brought the beer to the guys, and then I practically sprinted to the bar. Joe closed his eyes. Jones tried to measure all his reactions. He still was not sure whether Joe killed Gina Quintel. When you got back to the bar, said Travis, is that when she propositioned you? No, Mr. Thayer, she never propositioned me. I went back where she was waiting. She wasn't some cheap tramp. Well, was she a hooker or wasn't she? Asked Jones. Yeah, answered Joe, but I found that out later. But she wanted to get out of being a hooker. Her pimp always took a big chunk of change. Her pimp, said Jones. There's all kinds of rumors about Cocoa. Cocoa? He's the owner of Club Max? Asked Travis. Jones nodded his head. Strickland leaned in from the cell door. Yes, mob connections down south, Travis. Yeah, and he knows some rough people here in Prince William, said Joe. Joe, I've always told you that sports and women don't mix, but this goes way beyond that. His eyes were wet. She wasn't what you think. Okay, but we still didn't do anything that night. We just talked. She was a smart girl. Jones fought his anger at Joe's stupidity and inability to judge people. We talked until the place closed down. And then you went back to her place, right? Asked Jones. Yeah. I told the guys I'd find my way back to Hamilton. All right, I get the picture. Look, I'm working on posting bond here and getting you out. And your parents, they're flying in from Michigan. I know, he said, setting his jaw. Coach, you have to get me out of this. I'm going to be over here bright and early. I'll talk to Kevin Phillips. He's a good guy, said Joe. He just let me tell my story. According to the report, before Gina Quintel was murdered, she told Joe the relationship was over, but gave no explanation, and thought Joe should get on with his life. Joe instantly went into a deep depression and began drinking. After repeated calls to Gina, Joe missed all his classes and stayed in his dorm room. Then he did receive a call from Gina. She said she wanted to talk. A little after 7, he brought his motorcycle over the hills from Hamilton to the Covington Arms. Gina Quintel's door was open when he reached the third-floor apartment. He saw Gina Quintel face down on the blood-saturated shag rug. He ran over and lifted her into his arms. For several minutes he rocked her. When anger set in, he pounded on the floor. A short, gray-haired man in a blue bathrobe soon appeared, and an older woman trailed behind. Joe panicked and rushed out of the apartment. Once on his bike, realizing the circumstantial evidence, he raced his motorcycle down the interstate to Massachusetts. You know what happened after that, Coach. The owner of the hotel tipped off the cops. My clothes were bloody. I'm screwed, Coach. No. There has to be another answer. I'll call Father Gallagher and see if I can stay at St. Bart's here in the city tonight. Can I get out on bail? Asked Joe. I'll call L.G. Bentley. L.G. is a competent lawyer in Hamilton. I haven't got any money. My parents aren't rich. You know I'm here on a football scholarship. You let me worry about that, said Jones. Just keep your head. Stay here tonight and we'll solve this thing. Gina, she doesn't have any family. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm going to see if I can get over to the medical examiner's office tonight. Travis, his hands still in his coat pockets, walked over to Joe. If you didn't kill her, who did? I don't know, Mr. Thayer. Maybe Cocoa and his people. Cocoa? Coco's not that stupid. Well, they say he skimmed money from Gina. I'll talk to Cocoa, said Jones. I just miss her. I don't know why she would just out of the blue break up. Doesn't make any sense. There was no reason for Gina to end it. No reason at all. Tears formed in his eyes again. She loved me. And she simply told you it was over. That's why I was so upset when I saw you, Mr. Thayer. I couldn't believe it. And that's why I came over to see her, to find out why. Why? Jones held his shoulders. He questioned why a hooker, other than the obvious, would instantly become attracted to Joe. Hang in there, Joe. He grabbed the back of Joe's neck, hugged him, and then looked into his dark eyes. Is there anything else you need to tell me? Help me. I'll do my best. Jones turned with Travis and left the cell. He could not look back as Strickland closed the metal bar door and walked behind them down the hall. Matthias, said Strickland. Kip Bosco smoked at the end of the hallway. We could try and get him out tonight. No, I want him in here now for his own safety. Any ideas on who killed the girl? Somebody hired that hooker, said Jones. You mean to be his girlfriend? Yeah. How do you know this, Matthias? Just a side road theory, George. He pulled them both aside before they approached Kip. It's obvious. Why does some hooker just fall head over heels for him at Club Max? It's just too easy. I've got to find Coco. Well, don't tell Joe that, said Travis. He's devastated as it is. No, I wouldn't tell him that. I'll bet good money that Kip Bosco knows the girl and whether she was paid. Kip exhaled and flicked the ashes onto the cement. Who would want to pay her to be with Joe? Somebody who wanted to kill her and set up Joe, because Joe was set up. One of her Johns. Maybe Coco has information. Another hooker. Who knows? We need to see what enemies this girl had. Right now I'm going to call Clayton Morris and see all of the physical evidence. Do they still have the murder weapon? Well, Kip didn't say. It's not in the report. Matthias, I'll take care of calling LG. First and foremost, that kid needs a lawyer. You tell LG I'll be at St. Bart's after I go over to Clayton's office. I'll sleep at the rectory tonight and then meet with Kevin Phillips tomorrow morning to get to the bottom of this.